I'm sorry, I always start my videos showing my butt, but when I'm dealing with the subject of the Mormon Church, that's probably the best way to start my video. Let me give you a little background of me. I don't want to come across as a person who was a member of the Mormon Church for 6 months and knew a few people and then, got a bad attitude and then just left. I was born, basically, into the Mormon Church. I was about 7 when my parents were converted in Michigan. And therefore, I went to all the junior Sunday school classes. I went to primary, and then at 12 or 13, of course, I was in the adult section of the Mormon Church Sunday school. At 12, I was ordained a deacon in the priesthood. 14, I was a teacher, and at 19, I was ordained a priest, and I baptized my brother and a few other people. And all the time I was in high school, excuse me, I went to seminary. And seminary is an hour in the morning before your classes at school, being indoctrinated basically with the Book of Mormon and cursory overtures of the New Testament and the Old Testament. I went off to Brigham Young University, which is a school owned by the Mormon Church. They require you to take a certain amount of religion classes, and guess what? Most of those religion classes are Mormon classes. Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, the scriptures of the Mormon Church. World history and religion and those kinds of things were highly discouraged and many times not offered. So, I had to deal basically with graduating, and I had to have so many credits in religion or I couldn't graduate. I have a degree from BYU. It's hanging on my wall. I turn it to the inside of the wall because I'm not that proud of the degree now that I've discovered through the internet and research and study that the entire thing is a fraud. It's the biggest lie in the world, and sometimes in mass media that I took at BYU, it said the bigger the lie is, more people are going to believe it. If it's a stupid little lie, they're not going to believe it. But if it's a stupid, great, big, huge lie, a lot of people are going to go, hey, I think that's the truth. So I did all the indoctrination as a youth and then as a BYU student. And then I got married in the Manti Temple. You can't get married in a Mormon temple unless you're paying your tithing, you're morally clean. Of course, half the people lie about that, but I was a virgin when I got married. I was 19 years old, and my wife was a Mormon. She was a virgin. Very unusual. Most aren't. I thought they were, but most aren't. And we went to the Manti Temple, and in the temple we dressed in funny clothes. We had white robes draped all over us and a green apron like the Masons have tied on the front of us, and the women had veils over their face, and the men had baker's hats on that had a string on it. You tied it on the top of your thing here. And you went through the Mormon ceremony, which is obviously a plagiarism of the Masonic temple rites. And as you went through this particular ceremony, they had a movie. They didn't used to have a movie. This used to all be done live by old men who were not Academy Award winners, if you know what I mean. And you'd go through and you would make certain promises. Now, it's fascinating. This is so typical Mormon. You go in the room, you don't know anything. You don't know what you're going to promise. You don't know what you're going to do. You have no clue. And so they raise their hand and they say, gee, if any of you don't want to be here and don't want to take upon yourself these sacred obligations, please stand up now. Well, you might be in a section of 30 to 100 people, and sure, you're going to stand up. No one stands up because no one knows what you're going to do. If they told you you're going to give everything you own to the Mormon Church for the rest of your life, a lot of us would have stood up and go, whoa, whoa, this is not going to work for me. It is typical Mormon kind of stuff that they trick you. They say all the right things, they do all the wrong things. And so basically, you go through different sessions, you go to different rooms, and some rooms are painted like Adam and Eve, and then there's another room painted like the real world here, and then you get to go to the celestial room, and you have these signs, tokens, and symbols. Now, I'm 64 years old, and I don't want it to be forgotten, because the Mormon Church has changed this, because you young people that are seeing this won't believe the things I'm going to say. Because in the 90s, the Mormon Church changed a lot of that temple ceremony, and they don't do this anymore. But I guess I'm under the covenants and the promises I made when I went to the temple in 70, 71, whenever it was. So we were made to stand and put our right arm, they call it, to the square, another Mason symbol, and promise that we would basically give everything we owned now and all the things that we may get in the future to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we were always instructed when we took on these promises to bow our head and say yes. There was no asking questions. There was no other, gee, does anyone else want to leave right now? It was all assumed that you were going to be there because you didn't leave when you had a chance. And of course the Mormons will say, well, gee, you know, no one put a gun to their head to go to the temple, and that's not true. There's many guns to your head to go to the Mormon temple if you're born in the Mormon Church or you're an active member. And then you get to the veil of the Mormon ceremony, and you have an old man, 65, 70-year-old man, that does the women and the men. And the women are on one side and the men are on the other, but the veil worker is a male, and he's usually very old. And there you give all of the rote memories of the first token of the Melchizedek priesthood, the second token of the erotic. It goes on, and then finally the final identification is health in the navel, marrow in the bones, strength in the loins and in the sinews, power in the priesthood be upon me and my posterity throughout all generations and time and throughout all eternity. Now, if you couldn't remember all that crap, which most people can't, there was an old man or old woman that stood beside you and whispered the correct answers. And the guy behind the veil grabbed you on the back. You grabbed him on the back between the veil. And then you put knee to knee, mouth to ear, and it used to be called the 5 points of fellowship. Well, get on the computer, take a look at the Mason ceremony, and see how Joseph Smith made that up. Well, the other promises that I made before the 1990s is that if we ever reveal, and I'll reveal right now, the first token is touching the top of the thumb, the second one is inside the 2 fingers, then you have the patriarchal grip with the hand with the sure sign of the nail. I don't see lightning coming down, I don't see me dying, but what I promised to the Mormon Church is that if I ever divulged those, which I just did on camera, that they could slit my throat and kill me. That they could also cut my stomach open and have all of my guts fall out on the ground. This is a religious organization. This is the Mormon Church. And most people don't realize how wicked, how satanic, and how unbelievable their ceremonies are. And the last thing I was going to put on here, because I can't keep the videos long, we had the big old Pele Ale. We chanted inside the Mormon temples, like ancient rituals of Egypt or Greece or whatever, and we go Pele Ale 3 times. And then that was interpreted to us as the Adamic language which Adam spoke, right. And what it was saying is, oh God, hear the words of my mouth, oh God, hear the words of my mouth. Well, that got to be a little silly, so they took that out. Got to be a little threatening to cut your throat and your guts, and they took that out. And so many things like the 5 points of fellowship, they took that out because the women were getting their boobs grabbed and they were getting more of the 6 points of fellowship than the 5. So most people don't realize how evil this cult is. They smile, they dress very nicely, they speak very nicely. Their music and their choir and their presentations are fabulous. Look on the computer. Look on recovery from Mormonism.com and look at the thousands and thousands of people in that cult that have quit, that have resigned, that have said, this is not for me. Now that I've been on the internet and see that Joseph Smith is married to two 14-year-old girls and he had 30 polygamous wives and no one ever saw the gold plates. They were always under a blanket and they went up into heaven and we don't have them. And that's a test of our faith. Well, let me say very clearly in this Mormon presentation, I don't have that kind of faith. I don't believe God is appearing to men on the earth, and especially a 14-year-old boy who's a treasure hunter, and then gives him gold plates. You know, what's wrong with this picture? And then the angel comes down with a flaming sword and says, you need to marry 14-year-olds or I'll destroy you. Gee, why can't I get that lucky? I've never seen any angels like that in my life. And they say, you know, he got martyred at Carthage jail. He wasn't a martyr. He destroyed the Nauvoo Expositor, which was a newspaper in Nauvoo, because they were about to publish his shenanigans with 14-year-olds and other men's married wives. And Joseph knew he was going to be exposed, and he was the mayor, and he and the city council went down in the middle of the night, burned it down, burned everything inside, broke all the presses. And this is the prophet that everyone bows to. When you go to a Mormon meeting, you will seldom hear the word Jesus Christ. Very seldom. But Joseph Smith, man, you just hear that word all the time. We're the only true church, Joseph Smith in Revelation. I've been there. I've done it. I was in there 50 years, and I read all of the Journal of Discourses. I've read all of the church history by B.H. Roberts. I've read McConkie. I've read Skousen. And I have had all of the education that the Mormon church can give any individual. I'm telling you up front, it's a fraud. It's a cult, and it will steal your money and build a $4 million mall in Salt Lake City and let the poor and the starving continue to be poor and starving. This is not a church. This is a corporation which hurts people. Thank you very much. What?